Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Home Service Hustle. I'm your host, Jonathan Bannister, and today I'm with Katie Biddle. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. So Katie is, she's like a jack of all trades here, right? I mean, let's start with the most important thing. She's a great fantasy football player. I thought that was like super, super impressive. We're big fantasy football fans over here. But your story from how you got to where you are today, right? All right, you're leading the the CSRs in marketing.
It's customer experience and marketing.
Okay.
I do everything basically with customer experience outside of actually managing the customer service department that actually falls under sales for us.
So you're at a company called Call Dad, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But your story, you went from college dropout, you're working a retail job, lady walks up to you and recruits you. Tell us that story, how you got recruited when you were working in retail.
I had just dropped out of college probably 2 months prior, and I had a lady that came in all the time to shop. And one day she slipped me a note. She said, "Hey, if you're ever looking for a job, give me a call." Well, I was barely making minimum wage, so I called her on my break. I was like, "Hey, tell me about that." So it was a very small startup, 3 months in business. So I ended up being kind of the office manager, jack of all trades for them, ordering parts, pulling permits, just everything, answering the phone, dispatching. Like I was the team outside of one of the owners.
And so like from there, obviously your journey has evolved. How many years now?
21, coming up on 22 years.
22 years in the trades. And it sounds like you've never really looked back since that retail job.
Definitely not. From there, I went to work for one of the biggest companies, home service companies in North Carolina. About 5 years, did sales coordination there. And then after that, ran a call center for another large company in Charlotte. And around COVID, floated around some smaller companies. Definitely realized that is not my cup of tea. I have big dreams and visions, and that's hard to do at a smaller scale company that's a little bit limited on vision. So
you've been in many roles, right? Like from the first company that recruited you, you've kind of seen it all. You've went through a lot of different departments. You've like you said, kind of jack of all trades. And so what do you like having that diverse experience across all of those different roles? How do you think that has shaped your approach to the marketing and the customer experience at Call Dad that you have today?
Working with so many different companies, I've seen what does work, what doesn't work, especially in shoulder season. Everyone has kind of a different approaches how to get leads during shoulder season. So I have a lot of different ideas that I've taken from just about every company that I've worked for. I was telling our COO that I feel like every job I've had has prepared me to really succeed in this role and with the growth we're having.
So how do you think, having the background in sales, call center management, how are you leveraging those skills today in the current role, you think? You've taken all the combination things, you think it's all prepared you to get to where you are today, but, really that background in some of the sales you've done in the call center management, what have you learned in those that you're using today to really enhance the customer satisfaction and drive, new business growth?
So a lot of people don't realize how intertwined the call center is with marketing.
Okay.
Whether it's counted as a lead, it's not counted as a lead. Everything within, we're on Service Titan. Everything within that is connected to our marketing data. So that gives me a good foundation of how that works within Service Titan. Also, operationally, I handle every complaint that comes into Call Dad. 8 locations, that tends to be a lot, especially the more volume of business we do. And I can spot trends and pitch ideas for how we can be better operationally, how we can communicate better with customers. Having seen a lot of this before, I can kind of wrap my head around what we can do to make the process better.
Yeah. So Call Dad's been on the Inc. 5000 for 4 years now?
Yep, 4 years.
Okay. What specific strategies or values do you believe have been pivotal in achieving that consistent list and that consistent growth that y'all have been on?
We've always looked at growth as a capacity game. Can you get the leads? Can you take the call? Can you run the call? You obviously have to have operational efficiency as well. But those are the three things. If you never get to the customer's house, you don't have the chance to capitalize on the revenue and the opportunity. So I would say that. And also our culture, especially since we rebranded in 2023, it's always been customer first. It doesn't matter if we're right or wrong. We're going to take care of the customer, with a few exceptions, of course. But
right.
Just doing whatever it takes to make them happy has been critical for getting referrals, because it doesn't matter how much marketing or branding you do, if you get a bad reputation, that all goes to waste.
It's funny, I know Ryan Chute is there with y'all today, and him and I've had some conversations here recently, and he's like, people really ought to spend more time obsessing over their 1-star reviews than they do their 5-star reviews, because 5-star reviews, they're going to happen. You do enough work, you have happy customers, but really focusing on what did I do wrong and how do I respond to this customer and to try to make it, right moving forward? How do we get better as a team? But then what is that perception of what that response says to future customers? Because I don't think people realize that when future customers, if they're looking at reviews, they're going to look to see, like, this is how most people look at it. They look to see, like, what is the review rating that the company has right now? Oh, they've got 400 reviews and it's 4.8. But if they really care about reviews, they're going to go to your 1-star reviews. That's what they care about. They're not going to be reading a bunch of people's 5-star reviews. So I just thought that was neat. Him and I just had a long conversation about that.
I completely agree. So every 1-star review we get, stay owner service managers or install managers, like, we got to put the bow on this. We have to make this right. What did we do? Not all of them are our fault. It's hard to tackle pricing complaints. We have a basic, auto response basically to pricing.
Right.
But as far as this actually messing up, we do whatever it takes to make them happy. Whether it be me calling or,
Well, so let's talk about that a little bit. You mentioned in your bio that you sent over that y'all are, insane about making customers happy. So how do you instill this value within the entire team? And then what has the impact been on the company culture and customer retention?
This has been an evolution for us. So we used to send everything over to service managers to handle.
Okay.
Even the simplest things, but we've developed a process where the CSRs are empowered to make a decision on that call. They can refund money. They can schedule something directly on a manager without asking them. Whatever it takes. There are very few exceptions to that rule where we can't take care of them as soon as they call in. We eliminate uncertainty. That's one of our that's part of our mission statement, is to eliminate uncertainty. They don't have to wait around for a response. They don't have to, call again in, 2 hours when the technician's out or the manager's out in the field and wait on that. They're getting a response right then that will make them happy more often than not.
I love it. And I don't think I've really heard too many companies I've ever heard of that empower their CSRs like that. And I think that probably has just this crazy impact. If y'all were to be able to look at that data somehow from their retention or their happiness level, because, that's got to suck to be on the other end of someone that's very unhappy and there's nothing they can really do but say, I'm sorry, and I'll get someone to get back to you, if they don't have any really options that they can do with it.
And it calms them down immediately.
Yeah.
We've given them a lot of principles on complaint handling. A lot of complaint customers just want to feel heard.
Yeah.
They feel like no one's listened to them yet. So let them vent, let them get it all out, and then pivot from there. How can we make this right? What can we do to restore your trust?
I love it. All right, let's talk about the apprentice program because I think this is like super, super exciting. So y'all are set to bring on 100 techs in 2025. How do you plan on, integrating this? I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people that listen to this and they probably wanted, to bring on some kind of program or incorporate some kind of program like this. So what is the plan to integrate these in with the team members into the company culture that already exists today? And how are you going to ensure they contribute to the brand's reputation?
So we hire based on whether they would be a cultural fit. We hire on communication skills, on personality. We try to almost scare them away with how busy summers are and how busy winters can be. 140-degree attics, you're going to be working 10-hour shifts in this heat. We basically do everything we can to scare them away from the industry. So they're hired based on a cultural fit, and they get really ingrained with our team from the very beginning. Even that when they're in class, they still report directly to whoever the regional manager is going to be and their service manager. And then we kind of throw them into the fire. They go into a truck after 6 months, obviously working on maintenance calls, what have you. So they have KPIs, and we do professional development plans every 3 months where we evaluate it. What areas can you improve? How can we improve those? So just the communication, which is one of our pillars, is fostering communication. It really takes that to get that cultural aspect dialed in while also generating revenue, because apprentices are a very costly thing when they're in the classroom.
So how do y'all put that together? What does the program itself look like? Is it new for y'all?
We've done this since 2022.
Okay.
It has evolved a little bit. We have an amazing in-house trainer. She has a degree in education from UNC Chapel Hill.
Okay.
She also spent 5 years in the field as a service tech, which is probably the rarest combination of the skill sets you could ever come across. So she's developed the plan and built it out. It's 3 years. Our screening process is incredibly tough. We had, I think, a 1.5% acceptance rate on our last class, which actually just started 2 days ago. So it's very rigorous in hiring, the hiring portion. And then they spend 6 weeks in the classroom. And then they alternate in and out of the field in the classroom for 3 years. Okay. And when they come out, they have their journeyman certificate for North Carolina.
Nice. And how many people have y'all put through that since 2022?
That's a good question. I don't know a total number, but I can tell you that 80% of our field staff is DAD university students or graduated through the program. In fact, we have 2 regional managers that came through one of the first classes we had.
That is so awesome. All right, so let's talk about something that's real, close to you and familiar on the marketing side. What is Dad doing? What has marketing been like for 2025? What really changed for y'all from 2024? And then let's look forward. What changes will y'all be making in 26?
We really dialed into direct mail this year. And we ran an A/B test between a new market that we're in versus our most heavily saturated market, and determined that only where we have a strong brand presence are we going to run direct mail. We're at 18-to-1 return on investment in our heavily branded markets and 1-to-1 on our new ones.
Yeah.
So we've discovered, if we have a great market, we need to hammer direct mail there. It's been sort of business as usual this year, outside of adding direct mail. We do so much marketing and branding. We've had a hard time keeping up with the leads that we have gotten through various channels. That we have slowed down quite a bit in the past month or so. The weather has not been favorable. We all like to say we're not a seasonal business, or we're not a weather-driven business. Yeah. That's crap.
Yeah, right.
You got to hustle to get the leads.
That's right. Sure. You do.
Yeah.
Again, you got Ryan there in house with you today, and he's a big part of my new book that I have coming out, and our clients that we work with that are heavily branded, it's like the results are day and night when it comes to conversions, opportunities, average tickets. Everything is drastically better when the brand is strong. And, so I find that super interesting that you talk about that y'all did the A/B split testing. I'll tell you a story that I heard recently. I was at this little small event in Boston a couple months ago, and this guy told this story of, I want to say it was like, I think he said it was like a suburb or something outside of Savannah, that this data analytics company kind of went in to do this testing. And what they did was they sent a mail-in survey to every single homeowner in the community. And they asked them to select who was the best real estate agent in their market. And they had multiple choice going down the thing. And there was no clear winner. Like there was, 200 said this and 100 said that. There was just no clear winner. And then what they did is they sent a direct mail card out every week for the next 6 weeks about this one particular real estate agent. And when they did the testing again, that was the person who won. The problem was that was a fake real estate agent that they just made up. And so the purpose of what they said was, it's not the best that usually wins, the best known, And so where you talk about y'all have strong brand equity in certain markets, you have an 18-1, ratio when it comes to your return on investment. And then you're 1-1 when you have a weak brand. So like, that's the big part of this podcast. I want to make sure everybody out there that listens to this, like, it's got to be about branding. Like, you've got to acquire that brand equity. And where it's strong, you can't say like, oh, we've got a strong brand here, so let's pull back here and let's go jump into a whole complete another market. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, Ryan will say, like, once you achieve that brand equity, you just got to keep going after it. You got to be the household name that people think of whenever they have a problem, and it's just got to click in their brain.
And as much as we spend on radio, we're moving into TV this year. We're doubling down on, they have this audio version, and our owner, Matt Posta, is on all of our radio ads. It's a story about his family basically every time. And so to put a visual image to that and really connect the audio and the visual, it's more of a story when you can see, and it's really more of an experience and connection when you have a face to go with.
Absolutely. I love it. So what are the plans for next year? I mean, obviously TV. Is there anything with your marketing background, with the future of the uncertainty of kind of Google and what's happening there and AI, like what's the plans? What are y'all thinking?
So we are currently, this just came into our mind after a conference, is that we have to pivot and really optimize our search for AI as well as for the Google. Mm-hmm. So we're working on game plans for that, several different strategies right now. I've also used this. You ran, what is call dad customer service in this location like? And it pulls not just from Google, it pulls from Better Business Bureau, Angie's List, everywhere you can leave a review. It pulls that and summarizes strengths and weaknesses. And it's pretty much spot on to what we have struggled with and are still working to improve every day. There's just so much that goes into that and to think about. But we're still working on this strategy. It's pretty. Yeah,
I tell people, especially the ones that they're like, we don't know what to do, or, and people are going to be in limbo for a little while. It's going to be the phone book era when we were moving from phone book over to Google. People had to back their budget down, right? They were a 2 full page, full color. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to go 1 page. I'm going to go half page, no color, until finally they're like, all right, I'm not going to put any more money into the yellow book, and I'm just going to be in Google. Well, that's the place we're at right now. And so for the next few years, people are going to have to decide how much are they going to invest into the AI side. In 2026, all the platforms are rolling out paid ads. So that's going to be interesting because we don't really know what it looks like. We don't think it's going to be on paid version. But if you ask like ChatGPT, like, why are y'all rolling out paid ads? It'll tell you. And that's what I like is the transparency with AI is it'll say, well, only 4% of our free users are converting over to paid. So we have to, it's not sustainable if we don't. But it's going to be interesting. Are the paid ads going to work? To some extent, but is it going to be as powerful as LSA or PPC? But I just think the most important thing is that the monopoly of Google's gone away. So unfortunately, you only have 4 to 6% of your market that needs you at any time. Well, that 4 to 6% is just now going to be spread all over the place. So you guys are in great place because you're focusing on the brand. And a lot of companies, if they're not starting to focus towards the brand, they're going to struggle, because when everything's not in that one ecosystem called Google, and they're going to have to go get a couple of their people over here and a couple over there. I mean, some companies say Yelp works. Other companies say it doesn't work at all. Well, it's going to be like, well, Gemini doesn't work for us on paid ads, but it does work over here. It's going to be that game. But who wants to keep chasing leads all the time? Just build a brand. And, if you can get 18-to-1 conversion return on investment on direct mail, but y'all wouldn't do that. Think about it. You would be maybe 1-to-1 all over if y'all didn't have a brand, and that would suck.
Yeah. You brought up a good point just now about some people say Yelp works and some people says it doesn't. Yeah. So we found like different channels work better in different markets.
Right.
Like Asheville worked really well for us on Yelp, but some other of our locations fell flat. We just turned it off altogether. So it really varies by market. I mean, LSA, some of our locations, right, we don't have a ton of Google reviews here, but LSA is insane. Like, what gives? And then somewhere we have a good brand presence and a ton of reviews. It's a little less.
And listen, I've learned so much from Ryan and from Roy. 4 years ago, I was the guy that I'll tell you, I had a client that Ryan and him work with called All Heart. And the owner and I are friends. And he called me and he said, hey, I'm going to do this meeting with this company called Wizard of Ads. This was 21, I think. And I had this gut punch because I didn't know who they were, right? So I just heard Wizard of Ads. I'm like, what's wrong with your ads? We do your ads for you. I think your ads are performing fine. You just had $1 million a month. What's the problem? And I get on the call, and then I hear Ryan talking about, and I didn't know who he was at the time, storytelling and all. And I'm like, this dude's weird. Whatever. We don't do any of this stuff. I don't care. We're in a different world. And so I let it go. Well, then 2 or 3 weeks later, the client goes, all right, we're going to move forward with Wizard of Ads. And I was like, okay, cool. And he goes, yeah, and we're going to spend $30,000 a month on radio. And my response to him was, have you lost your fucking mind? That's what I told him. And he goes, why did you say that? And I was like, you're going to put $30,000 into some fantasy land that you're never going to be able to quantify the return on that investment. And I was like, you give me $30,000, I'll go put it into YouTube and TikTok next month, and I'm going to show you exactly what you make. And that's who I was just 4 years ago. And today, a client tells me they want to go put a billboard up. I'm like, go for it. Hell yeah, great. Because I know that the stronger the brand is, the digital works, and I used to be the guy that would think that digital marketing, that was all you need to do it. You need to do all the digital marketing you could. Today, I'm like, no, digital marketing is like the lighter fluid. If you need to get the flame going even higher, pour lighter fluid on it. But if you pour lighter fluid on a cold ground, there's no fire. The brand has to be the fire that gets everything going. But I'm telling you, people are, it's hard to do that. You've been at some of the smaller companies where they weren't worried about, it wasn't that they weren't worried about their brand. They just couldn't justify spending money on brand awareness because they're out there buying leads. I call it digital heroin. Everybody's hooked on digital heroin, and they can't get off of it. And they're like, well, if I don't get the leads, my guys, I got to lay them off. Or if I don't get the leads, then this happens. And it's like, I know, but there's only so many leads in the market at any time. And right now, those leads are spread between your competitors and the platforms that exist. And when it was just Howls, Yelp, Angie, and Google, okay, well, you could control some of your destiny, but now it's going to be spread between all these other platforms. If you don't have a brand, I think there's going to be, my prediction is there's a lot of companies in 2026 that are going out of business. You may not even be able to sell to private equity, or if they do, it's going to be pennies on the dollar, because with a weak brand, they are not going to be able to afford what's coming.
I agree. I'm in all sorts of different networking groups and Facebook groups. And the general consensus is 2025 sucks. We're lucky to be flat, if anything.
Yeah.
From most contractors, even equipment dealers. Our equipment dealer, Louise Carrier, said that as a whole, they're only up 13%, with costs have gone up astronomically.
Yes.
So that really means they're selling way less equipment than they did last year.
I'm really close with Kristen Gallup, and I'm sure you know her and was with her. Did you go to the Women in HVAC event?
I didn't. That's actually, I think, wrapped last night. Our company meeting was yesterday, and we always have everyone there.
Well,
I'm planning on going next year for sure.
She told me, I want to say it was like July. She was like, yeah, I just had to lay like 300 people off or something. She's like, that's unheard of when it's triple digit weather out, And so, like, people need to see this trend with the manufacturers. And again, it's one of those scary times that people go, well, I don't really have the money to play with this no guarantee return on investment. I'm like, there's nothing out there that is a guarantee return on investment. There's things that have better ROAS to it. But at the end of the day, if you have a weak brand, your return on ad spend is going to suck no matter what. And I don't care who's doing your marketing. They're lying to you if you have a weak brand, and especially if there's some big players in the market that are spending 6 and 7 figures on their brand. Like, they're going to outclick you every single time. Not because they're necessarily spending more money on PPC. I personally think that it's the way the human brain works. I think, and look, Ryan has helped me craft this, right? That there's 4 levels of brand equity, right? He helped me change what I put in my book. He didn't like the verbiage. So it is, you have no brand equity. You have name recognition. You have household name, which is the top level, and then you have negative brand equity. So it's like, I think the way the human brain works is obviously where we want to be is that household name, right? That is in my client case that I'll give you an example, All Heart. We were out in California shooting some video content last year, and I'm riding with the owner. One of his techs is in one of their trucks, and we're going to this train depot area, like towards Bakersfield, California, to just get B-roll footage of the van driving in front of the train. Well, me and the owner pull into the parking lot, get out of the truck. We're walking to the back of the truck, and all of a sudden we hear it sounded like Jesus, it's coming from the heavens. It was like, All Heart Heating and Cooling, comfort is only a heartbeat away. And we look up at the train depot, and there's this like 80-year-old man in this rocking chair, and he's singing that song because he saw the truck pull up with All Heart on it. And I looked at the owner right then, and he goes, see, this shit works. And he just like kept walking. And I was like, man, and I wanted to go ask that old man. I would bet anything on my life, Katie, that guy has never used All Heart before. But the way his brain went, the chemical in his brain, when he saw that truck, he started singing that song because he'd heard it on the radio or heard it on TV so many times, right? And it's like the smaller companies just don't understand the impact there because they think I can't afford it, or there's no way I can spend $5,000 or $10,000 on brand awareness with no guarantee of what's coming in. And it's like, but if you really knew your numbers, you can't afford to pay $600 for a new lead anyways, because by the time you factor in your overhead expenses, you're not making enough on your average tickets anyway. You're losing money every lead that you get, and you just don't realize it.
Yeah. So if you want to know how your radio ad's working, if it's really eliciting what you want, just listen to the complaints. Yeah. We have a disposition where anytime we get a marketing complaint, mostly radio, they disposition it that way, and I'll go back and listen to all of them. We have people calling in on holidays. We had someone call in cussing our AI agent last Sunday. But yeah, it definitely works for sure.
So when it comes to video, what are you guys doing for video? What's the impact been? What would you suggest to people out there listening? And how long have y'all been doing it?
So this was a controversial decision when we decided to hire an in-house videographer. Mm-hmm. Some people on the team were like, I don't understand. So we explained the why, and they get it now. Content is king. The more content you have out there, the stronger your SEO is, the more people are going to see you. You're just visible on all these different platforms.
Yep.
We started a dad joke of the day. So every single day we have video content rolling through all of our channels for socials. TikTok. Who would have thought TikTok was going to be a way to market in the trades? So it really has been a great thing for us to be able to put out as much content, because as great as I am, I know zero about videography. I mean, nothing.
Yeah.
So Sean too is amazing. Some of the work he's done, Wizards has said probably one of the best video people they've ever seen.
Yeah. And listen, I think there's so many unknowns about AI still, and it's not like how it is now is the way it's going to be 5 years from now. But what I can tell is that they're trying to be as unbiased as possible, and almost as if they know. Here's what I believe. I believe that we're less than a year away from this is the way transactions are going to go for most people. And it is going to be, hey, AI, are you here? Listen, I'm off on Tuesday, and it's my only day off this week. So I haven't had my tankless water heater cleaned or flushed in like 2 years. So I need to get that done. There's some issues going on. The hot water's giving me some. So listen, do some research. Find me the best plumber in my market. Get me some prices on what it's going to cost to get my water heater flushed, and then find me someone that can come out Tuesday before 2 p.m. and just let me know when that's done. Thanks. And they're going to put their phone down. So in order for us to get to that place there, these platforms are going to have to be unbiased, because they're going to have to be able to trust that it's really going out to find the best plumber, the most reputable plumber. So I really think they are trying to do that. That's why they share the sources of where they're actually pulling the information from. But here's what I think a number one factor that all the platforms are looking at is brand signals. So like, just think of your reviews, multiple platforms. Think of your video content. Like, it doesn't, like, you're getting engagement, you're getting likes on it, you're getting people comment on TikTok on it. The platforms are going to be able to see that. And what they're going to be looking for is almost like I describe a popularity contest. Who is the most popular company right now in plumbing? Because that's who they want to recommend to the person that's asking for it, right? It's not you met all the algorithm criteria and we're going to rank you up here. No, it's not a ranking system. It is a popularity contest, and the AI is trying to make sure they're putting the best out there. So you better go out there and tell the internet that you're the best. And so I strongly suggest people get reviews. Like you said, you're like BBB and Angie's List. They're all, it's reviews coming from everywhere. Because I'm gonna tell you, ChatGPT will not put out that you have 800 reviews on Google. It will not use the word Google on their platform unless you ask it to, right? So it'll say, no, we found 942 reviews on 6 different platforms. Now, 800 of them may have come from Google, but they want to take a holistic approach of where all you're getting reviews from. So it's going to have to be some pivoting, and I just hope people are strapped in and ready, because it's going to be wild over the next couple of years.
I did an AI search for every one of our markets in customer service, and just about everyone pulled a BBB complaint. Yeah. Even if you just have one on there, it's going to pull that and it's going to talk about it. If our searches were anything like what other people's would be.
Yeah, I see BBB come up very often. And people go, like BBB is a pay for play and all this. It's like, listen, like, look, one of the AIO strategies that we're doing for clients right now is featured press articles, right? Like the paid press. Well, we're doing this because we tested it out. It's moving the needle. So yeah, with BBB, people think like it's a paid platform, it's pay for play and all this, but at the same time, it's something that the AI platforms are trusting. It's all about those trust signals. Another thing is, with our clients, we started testing out the featured press articles. Back in early days of Google, those featured press articles were golden for SEO. And then Google came in and changed the algorithm and said, oh yeah, well, this article is just going to be considered another link, and we want thousands of links. There was a backlink game. So they said, well, this one's not going to really matter because it's just another link. But now with the AI platforms, we're putting our clients in these featured press articles, the next day after it goes out, if you go, hey, tell me everything you know about Billy Klein and your new door out of Dallas, Texas, the next day on ChatGPT or Gemini, the first thing that's listed up there is that feature press that went out. And it's like, they're picking up on it. And, so things are going to change. We don't know for sure, but what I'm telling what clients and I'm telling everybody else out there is think of brand signals. Whatever you can do to be the most popular company is I think what's going to win. But if you only keep relying on the digital heroin and buying leads, it's going to be really, really hard next year. So,
and you have to have so many varied platforms too. You basically have to have somebody working on that content for you now.
Have to. Absolutely. You do. So what is the big plans over, let's say, the next 12 to 18 months for the company and organization? What is y'all's big plans and goals?
We are rolling out plumbing in November, which will be a massive undertaking. We're working on the price book now, licenses, working on a DAD-U program for plumbing. We even have some HVAC guys who are like, hey, I want to get into the plumbing program. Okay, cool. We'll take you. So there's that. And then we have some lofty revenue goals. Over the next 2 years, we're planning on being about a $250 million company.
That is awesome.
People told us we couldn't do what we've done today, too. We just choose to be the most optimistic people on the planet.
I love it. Where does DAD-U come from?
How do you mean?
Like, where did the name come from the rebrand? Is there a meaning there or any?
Yeah, Dad University, called Dad. Are you talking about the name called Dad?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Wizards actually designed and rebranded us with that. They sat down with Matt and asked them a million questions. What makes them tick? Why do you do what you do? It was almost like they said a psychological evaluation.
Yeah.
But what it boiled down to is they're both really family centric and also value relationships with their teammates, with customers, and that's the key component is relationships to our core values. So it just made sense to have, a family kind of approach to our brand name. And even if you don't have a dad, you have, who you would call if you did have a dad. Like, I wish this guy was like my dad. You have this idea of what a dad should be.
And is that something that going through training with new team members, no matter which department, whether it's male, female, it's just taking this persona of this fatherly figure that we're going to do whatever we can to help this customer because they're in a time of need type thing. Is that kind of the mentality around the whole?
Absolutely. Every new hire, when we did the rebrand, our owner, Matt Posa, stood up and spoke to everyone in the company for about an hour and a half, his story and why we were changing the name and the background and what it means and how our culture is going to shift. Everyone watches that video before they come on board, before their first day. And then we say our mission statement before every single meeting we have. So it's really, really hammered into people from the very beginning and then consistently throughout 10 years too.
I love it. Well, Katie, it has been a pleasure getting to interview you and understand more about Call Dad, the success that y'all have had. I think, your story will resonate with people that are listening to this, right? Like drop out of college, working in retail, and you meet someone that really changed the course of your life. And I think other people, just hearing that, maybe taking that risk, someone offers them a new career path, maybe being open to it. And then obviously hearing some of the strategies and things that y'all have done to grow and continue to have the success that y'all have is going to be super encouraging for other companies. So I appreciate your time and wish you guys the best of luck the remainder of this year. Plumbing, when is it open again, plumbing?
We have a target date to start running calls in November. About mid-November. Okay.
Well, I think 2026 is going to be super exciting for you guys. So I wish you all the best of luck, and we'll catch back up maybe a year from now and get an update.
That'd be awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, Katie. Bye-bye.
See ya.